What, hello? Why did I?
Who's moving everyone?
Great question.
Hello?
Huh?
Oh my god, Aiden!
Is my mic quality really that bad, guys? A $5 earbuds got great mic quality.
Are we gonna do the final round on Zoom or on Discord?
I think we should use the Discord.
If y'all want, we could do like a Google Meet if logistics is okay with that.
I mean, is Discord a problem? If it's not, I'm fine just using Discord.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's not a problem for anyone, then let's just move forward.
Last round, like, it didn't let us join, so we were like 10 minutes late because of that. But like, if it's working now, then
Yeah,
it's fine.
Cool. We'll be right back. We have to
Hey, so judges, quick question. Are you gonna be biased against me if I was to run a K? Hypothetically.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Hypothetically. If I was to run a K, not saying I would. Hypothetically, would you be biased against me?
Considering that's not on our rubric, I'm gonna say no. So if you want to run a K, you do that, but that doesn't win you any brownie points. I just want you to know.
Like, so could I run the K and still win the round if I win the K?
If you win, not. I don't want to say yes. You're gonna confuse like half of our judges.
Oh,
But
sucks. Okay.
if you
man,
want to do that, if you feel that you're well prepared, go ahead. If that's what you want to do, go ahead. No one's gonna stop you.
I
That's
think
my
we're-
point.
Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying, man. Okay.
All right, y'all want to do like a speech drop, email chain? What's your thought? We'll just do
Wait, one
speech drop.
second.
That sounds easiest.
Can we not do speech drop? Can we just like, because we're not spreading or anything?
Wait, are you running the K though? Because then.
Oh yeah, we're spreading.
Okay,
Oh,
they have to
okay.
drop it. Yeah.
Speech drop. Just use the speech drop.
You can do speech drop.
Cool. Cool. I got it.
The comments going to the word.
Wait, sorry. Are we abiding by side lock or are you just like?
Uh,
You running the K as an app?
I don't know.
No one said we were running a K. We just said we were spreading, first of all. And also, I'll let you guys choose side.
Coin flipping?
Yeah, you don't want to flip.
We can
No,
flip.
oh yeah, we can flip if
Let's
you
just
want.
flip.
Let's
That's
just
more
Let's
fun.
just flip, man.
I just want to say that this is a public forum event, and I don't know.
Oh yeah,
how-
we know. We're aware.
as judges, but that's my point. Right? I don't know as judges how we're gonna feel about spreading.
Oh, I completely understand where you're coming from, but I also
Because you
understand.
do lose points for
Say again?
speech.
Oh, we lose
You do
speaker
lose points
points.
for presentation. Yeah, you will lose speaker.
So
I mean,
my question here is: Are this round being judged off speaker points, or is it being judged off of who won?
did you watch the opening ceremony?
I did, but I got goldfish memory. You know, it doesn't always work
You
the way I
did,
want it
but
to.
you didn't. Gotcha. So the rubric is actually on a number of factors. The way we calculate the winner is objective. It's based off points.
Okay.
So do what you will with that information.
Okay. Allow me to
You know
collaborate
what?
with my teammate very quickly.
How about this? How about I give you a copy of the
That is an
rubric we-
excellent proposition. We will look over
Yeah.
the rubric and get back to you shortly.
I just don't want you to commit, debate suicide. That's all. I'm looking out for y'all. Also, where'd the jackets go? I'm disappointed.
So true. A normal
See, we
round.
didn't want to be associated with Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
So
What happened to the jackets, Will?
Wait, but what's wrong with my father?
Aiden, you might want to turn on push to talk or something.
Are you gonna be emailing me that rubric or DMing me it?
It's in the chat. Everyone can see it.
Is it in the day 2 discussions?
It's in this tournament room chat. I can put it there too.
Oh, the chat. I got it. My bad. All right, we'll just flip. We'll do a coin flippity flip. Opponents, would you like to call the side of the coin?
I think this is our job as the judge.
Oh, my sincerest
okay.
apologies.
Oh no, don't worry. Don't
Oh,
worry.
by the way, since there's 4 judges, you want me to sit this one out? Because it's an odd number.
Don't worry about it. Definitely fill out your ballot and we'll talk. So
Alright.
I mean, yeah, if you want to, it's been a long day, so if you want the break, just go ahead. And judges, why don't we get cameras up? There we go, judges. I'm so proud. I knew you could do it. Mike, I knew you had it in you.
Thank you,
So,
Quinn.
yeah, so who wants heads, who wants tails? I'm gonna flip it like in front of y'all, so.
We'll call heads.
Heads, gotcha. So, here's the flip. Focus. That's heads. Y'all see it? Which side do you want?
Give us like 2 seconds, sorry.
Take your time. In the meantime, judges, do we all have our ballots up?
We'll go Af. Yeah.
You'll go what? Could you repeat that, please?
Sorry, we'll go Af first and Af.
Okay. All right.
Also, will you still be creating a speech drop because you're going to be spreading?
I think having one for the final round doesn't hurt anybody for both sides.
We may not be spreading.
Yeah, we might not spread.
But I mean, like, where's the fun in that? What's the point of spreading if they can just read everything?
What's the point of spreading? Oh, so the point of having the speech drop is because generally spreading is kind of fast. I think we all know that. So
That's the point.
yeah, that's why we have the speech drop.
The evidence.
Yeah, and also exactly like Aiden just said, if the evidence is good quality, I don't know why it hurts to hide it away. I mean, we're all
Fair.
besties here.
We'll see.
Yes, sir,
I don't
bestie.
think we can spread.
Yeah, I am
Exactly.
your bestie, Brian. Thank you, thank you.
Brian, you're really gonna betray us like that? I think we might have to demote you back to Grand Chancellor.
Now hear me out. No.
We might have to give your job to Sawyer. How do you feel about that?
No, we're good. We're good. We're besties.
Please do not do that. Please.
Who's first speaker on AF?
That'll be me. Just give me a second. Is your phone at home? Right? I have mine. All right. Yeah, I'm Divya. I'll be speaking first on the affirmation.
I don't know if it. Oh, Divya. Okay. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe for the other judges, you can see it too. But your cameras are like seconds per frame.
Oh, for me it's like on, but then for yeah, we kind of see that for like each other. Like my speaking though, can you still hear me?
You'll figure it out.
All right. Pretty solid. All right, everyone ready? We have resolved the benefits of the Internet of Things outweigh the decreased harms of personal privacy. Our framework is cost-benefit analysis. According to Gills 22, the Internet of Things, or IoT, is a system of interrelated computing devices, mechanical and digital machines, objects, animals, or people that are provided with unique identifiers and the ability to transfer data over a network without requiring a human-to-human or human-to-computer interaction. Contention 1 is healthcare. The healthcare industry is currently using IoT, and the industry is expected to continually grow. Although, according to Velasquez, Dasquez 23, IoT technology can help connect patients to doctors through remote monitoring and virtual visits, optimize the pharmaceutical manufacturing process, and allow healthcare providers to quickly and efficiently access patient data. The market for IoT medical devices is expected to reach $94.2 billion by 2026. Subpoint A is medical error. IoT can be used to minimize medical error that is specifically caused by institutions that do not use IoT. MOS 19 specifies that the majority of errors were attributed to manual input, 33%, workflow and communication, 24%, and clinical content, 23%. However, IoT is able to completely minimize these errors, saving lives in the process. Moss furthers that the data can be analyzed for a health assessment and be accessed by a clinician with a secure mobile device in hospital rooms or from a remote location. The data can also be used for insurance, billing, and tracking potential epidemics, such as avian flu, all while complying with data privacy laws. IoT is able to completely revolutionize processes in healthcare industry, while still complying with data privacy laws, meaning that nothing is being put at risk. The impact here is lives being lost through medical error are prevented through the use of IoT. Dr. Goodman, 22, states that medical error is the third leading cause of death in the U.S. A current Johns Hopkins medicine study suggests that medical error caused an estimated 250,000 deaths per year in the U.S. This is in the U.S. alone, and the numbers are increased in less developed nations with a less developed healthcare industry. Subpoint B is pandemic detection and treatment. We are currently in the aftermath of a pandemic. Thus, we must think of ways to improve our response to these crises in the future. The answer is IoT. During this pandemic, governments manually track the spread of the virus and infected people. However, Wildad 22 describes a solution to manual pandemic tracing techniques. An IoT-based COVID-19 detection and monitoring system with semi-automated and improved contact tracing, capability named COVID, has been presented with applications of real-time data of symptoms collected from individuals and contact tracing. The deployment of COVID, the prediction of infected persons can be made much more effective, and contaminated areas can be identified to mitigate the further propagation of the virus by imposing smart lockdown. The impact is pandemic prevention and lives being saved. World 23 states that about 7 million deaths have been attributed to COVID-19 as of today. This is due to manual tracing and the lack of IoT in the global healthcare. Dasquez 20 explains how the Internet of Things can save around 50,000 lives a year in the US, and likely 10 times more in the whole world outside the US. As the IoT continues to develop and is used more in other countries, the numbers will increase exponentially. Contention 2 is environment. IoT is essential in the fight against climate change. IoT sensors can be deployed to buildings to track emissions and use and impose regulations. Yamini 22 states that in order to ensure that buildings stay at net zero carbon, they must be equipped with IoT sensors. These sensors can help easily tracking energy consumption, lighting, generating renewable energy on site, and eliminating waste sustainably. 15% of all carbon emissions can easily be reduced by using IoT, and this could happen by 2030. The impact of stopping extinction. Center for Biological Diversity states that climate change will cause more than a third of Earth's animals and plant species to face extinction by 2050. And up to 70% by the end of the century. However, IoT solves, in turn preventing extinction of life on Earth. Thus, we affirm.
Con, speaker one.
Yeah,
Are we
yeah.
ready?
Hold up, I'm
Gotcha.
dealing with like massive amounts of junk over here. Throw that out. Throw that out. What is this? I don't know what it is. We'll keep that. What's this? We'll throw that out. All right, let's do this.
Are we gonna throw you out too or no?
No, 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 no. Of course not, dude.
Okay.
I'm not spreading. I want my speaker points. Oh yeah,
Are you
speaker points
sending
are like.
speech?
Huh?
Are you sending a speech drop or no?
I mean, if you ain't gonna do it, I don't know why I have to. Y'all ready for this? Okay. Let me get my timer ready. Link the cases. Sorry, I started that wrong. My bad.
Link, the case is wed to modernization as a tool to dominate the other, which makes violence inevitable. Slater 04. Much attention allocated to the role of modernizing. In Western-led development and change, the crucial problem of developing structure capable of continually changing social problems and demands. Patterns were distinguished of democratic versus oligarchic, so one had a contrast between democracies of the West and the non-West. Oligarchies' modernization always had its danger, social mobilization, and revolution of rising expectations. Groupings emerge hostile to the West. A, we turn fairness. Debate becomes a try or die between minorities to access fairness by pushing out others. Either we access fairness and justify anti-black racism, or we divert from the cultural narrative. Nothing about this round was fair. Lee et al. 16. Asian Americans were subjected to segregation from schools. Policy based on Jim Crow contributed to anti-Asian prejudice. Chinese developed ties with whites and distancing themselves from blacks, accessing white schools by following the rules of white supremacy. Asian Americans embraced the model minority to safeguard against discrimination. Korean Americans pursue high-quality education. South Asian immigrants invested in reinforcing a narrative. Students formed a model minority identity which they believe got them closer to whiteness. 3. Neg interp controls the link to education. A. Their epistemology is flawed. All actions taken are development oriented. Can't access any educational value. Colaguru Curly 03. Orientalism is geographically determined. Orientalist findings do not have the potential to be valid anywhere other than in the non-West. Area studies play disruptive role in the organization of social knowledge. Challenging literary and textual orientation of Orientalism as an academic discipline, the epistemological critic emerged a reaction to knowledge produced operated with the premises of the development-oriented. 4. The epistemological practice the model minority myth onto the Asian that forces racialized narratives and legitimizes white supremacy and anti-blackness in the academic space. The model minority myth operates under the structural triangulation of the white, Asian, and black enforced by modern schooling. Even though Asians are upheld as a model minority, they're simultaneously racialized as foreign. The model minority myth simultaneously posits Asians as a threat to America and undermines solidarity between non-black groups. Lee et al. 16. Schools shape racial categories. Schools position whites as superior and African Americans dangerous. Asians rendered invisible in the black-white discourses. Asian Americans serve as the site which nations project anxieties regarding threats. Racial triangulation occurs through valorization, ostracism relative to African Americans, but also figure them as foreign and unassimilable. Framed as foreigners and model minorities, upholds white supremacy and undermines interracial solidarity. Who left? Was that a judge? It was a judge. Oh wait, our judge is back. I paused at 2:07.
My bad. Discord crashed.
All good, all good.
Can you?
No worries. All right,
Please go
everyone ready?
ahead.
Everyone ready to continue?
Before
All right, cool.
before you restart, tell your partner to give us the speech drop.
Oh,
You just okay.
yeah. So pretty much what you're gonna do is you're gonna just make a copy of it,
Yep.
and then you're gonna click File.
Oh, one more thing, real quick. On behalf of my entire team, I think I speak for all of us. Just please move the mic like just an inch away from your face.
Dude, I got you. I got you.
Thank you.
Is this better? Is this better?
Not really, but I appreciate
Okay.
the sentiment. Just continue.
Okay. How about is this better? How about that?
That's fine.
Great, great.
Yeah, I'm making the speech doc.
You know how to do this? Okay, so then you're gonna go here.
Wait, what do I do?
No, you have to make a new room.
Okay.
So just like title it whatever we're doing right now. Yeah. Okay. Then you're gonna go here. Nope. Here. File. Download. Microsoft Word. Then you're just gonna drag it in there. We cool? Great. The myth of the model minority perpetuates anti-blackness. It is the tool of white supremacy to wedge people of color, leading to the psychological violence of Asian Americans. Code 15. The model minority is a presently used tool designed to protect white supremacy and anti-black racism. In order to undo the myth, we must tackle internalized anti-blackness. The myth serves as a wedge to divide groups, creating hierarchies of cultural inferiority. To accept the myth is to comply with whiteness. Identities that don't abide by the model minority are deemed invalid. The myth prevents coalition. We are lumped as one ambiguous other. In this myth, policymakers make struggles of AAPI families invisible, a narrative that prevents solutions to racial inequity. Asian rhetoric functions as a disruption of the dominant discourse surrounding the Asian American identities. This counter-memory empowers Asian people who have scripts placed upon them. Although,
Is that time?
no.
Oh yeah, cool.
Although different Asian groups have had different experiences, situating shared tropes creates a locus for Asian people to galvanize around and creates a foundation for Asian spaces of resistance. Franchini 13. Asian American rhetoric has been concerned with temporality of shifting identities. There is no internal coherence in relative to its native identity and adopted residency. Rhetoric becomes transformative by participating in a process of becoming. The process of contestation, interrogation, reflection, the persistent forgetfulness that displaces Asian Americans from what is American. Asian rhetoric interrogate how Asian Americans are constructed, disseminated, circulated over time. Asian American counter memories to stabilize the American subject. This project contributes to wider cultural production by deconstructing dominant narratives to create space for where we can resist injustice and reassert agency and culture. Role of judge as anti-oppressive educator isn't necessarily bad either. What is space supposed to do for you to grow as an educator? When you tell me my knowledge is bad, they're telling me to be quiet. Judge should step in and use balance to encourage pedagogical spaces. Osajimi and D. As teachers of Asian students, how can understanding the nature of internalized oppression help us in practice? Perspective locates an impedance behavior, oppressive structures and practices in society. Internalizing of racial oppression makes Asian students feel quiet. As teachers, internalized oppression should help us see how the pressures of being an Asian American student can be limiting. Our job is to create a learning environment that contradicts those pressures. Students participate in discussions, we get to grapple with questions they've rarely been asked
Well,
before.
that's time.
Y'all ready for cross?
Yeah. All right. Can I have the first
Sick.
question?
Sure. Wait. Oh yeah, you're F. My bad. Whoopsie.
All right. Time starts on my first word. Can you please tell me how we actually link?
Oh yeah, sure. So pretty much you're talking a lot about cyber and modernization and IoT, and all of that show in turn relates to techno-orientalism because of the fact you're talking about you're perpetuating the Western mindset. Huh? What do you say? Oh, you're not talking to me. Cool.
No,
You're
you're fine.
perpetuating the Western mindset of these things. This whole topic is about cyber and about this techno aspect of things. People have made that. Sebastian Cho said China was bad. That's pretty important in today's round. I'm sorry. Yes. All right. Can I ask a question? Cool. So how does your case reject Orientalism?
Our case is the fact that through these benefits we're actually helping everyone, so as a result we're solving for whatever concerns you have through fields like healthcare. We're helping the most amount of people possible. That's true for everyone in the environment. By causing these claims we're helping, so we're not disenfranchising people as you say we are. Can I have a
Okay,
question?
so then sure.
Finish what you're saying.
Oh yeah. So and then in that case, how in the debate space are you rejecting Orientalism? That was what I was gonna say.
So we're rejecting Orientalism. Well, through our arguments. Second off, by having a space, we're able to actually talk about this and how we're solving for it in a global sphere. But now on to my question. Okay, so can you explain how? Okay, so what's your current role of the ballot, or do you have a role of the judge? What is?
Yeah. So the role of the judge is an anti-oppressive educator. Yeah, they should pretty much vote whoever best counters oppression in the debate space in today's round.
Okay. So we can prove that the affirmation is able to counter oppression at a better rate, then we would win the round, correct?
Yeah, but you can't.
No, but yeah, you didn't.
And you did not in your first speech.
Sorry, it's your cross-X to me, right?
Huh?
First speaker's cross-X, right?
What do you mean?
Why is the second speaker speaking?
The second speaker? You just talked to
fine,
your own
alright.
partner too. What are you talking about? I'm the one answering the questions here.
Let's try and keep it chill and respectful, guys.
My apologies, Quentin.
And professional, you guys
All good,
gotta
man.
follow the rules.
You can go ahead.
Okay. So you said that you're going to help solve these things, but inside of your case, what specific text do you have that is going to help solve and reject Orientalism inside of the debate space itself?
Okay, great, but we looking at the role of the judge, and with that role of the ballot, we're trying to see, in your own words, that we're trying to see who can limit oppression. So we're seeing through this case, and by affirming the resolution, we're able to have we're able to make the most amount of good possible for the most amount of people through reduction of medical error as well as pandemic treatment. Also, by bettering the environment, we're able to ensure that all people are going to have a better living area. I think that's time, right? Yeah. Starting now.
Sorry about that, guys. Second speaker, are you ready?
Sorry, we're taking running prep now. I have a minute 19 used, but I think we all started at different times, so does that sound all right? Okay, cool. A minute 19 used.
All right. Can everyone hear me all right? Okay. Order will just be going down the negative and then coming back to the affirmative, weighing key voters if I have time. Time will start on my first word. Okay, first of all, on their link, they're talking about how our case is linked to modernization to dominate the other. So the issue is here, we're not actually linking to modernization at all because IoT has been in existence forever. We're saying that the development is the only thing that's increasing. And furthermore, China is using IoT. It's not the West that's using it's not the West that's using IoT alone in order to dominate the other, which in their case is China. However, China is also using IoT. But even if you don't buy that, none of our impacts directly tie back to China. Our impacts are simply related to lives, not just in the US, but also just in general. We're talking about lives that are saved by the healthcare industry through the use of IoT, but also through our second impact of climate change. We're saying that that's stopping extinction, which means, once again, lives throughout the whole world are being saved. Now, on to their point A about turning fairness because it becomes the debate becomes a try or die between the minorities to access fairness by pushing out others. First of all, we're not actually pushing out others from the debate space because we're literally Asian, number one, and also we're not pushing out anyone through the use of our own case because we're simply saying that the IoT has more benefits than harms of the decreased personal privacy. We're simply saying that IoT gives is used to save more lives, and it's not actually pushing out anyone else from the debate space, meaning we just don't link into this K at all. And let's go into the neg interp, which is their third point about how neg interp controls the link to education, and all the AF actions are based on development, which is not tied to education. However, we cannot do this because, first of all, the neg is not tied to education either. They're simply saying that the AF is doing something, and they're saying that the AF ties into this whole model minority myth, but the thing is that's not helping education either. They're only saying a fact, but rather what we're doing is we're pushing a debate, which is actually the role of education is to debate. We're supposed to learn something here. So we actually went off of education because all they're doing is they're calling someone out for something that they didn't do in the first place. So we went off of education if that's what you want to vote on. And then also development is the key to education because only through development can we see what's going to work in the future. And so if we're talking about IoT in this case, we're seeing how IoT is good, how IoT is bad. That's the realm of the debate that we're doing today, meaning that we actually access more of the education impacts. We win on education here. And then on to their fourth point about how epistemological practices push the model minority myth onto Asians. Once again, our case is not related to any Asian impacts at all. We're simply saying global impacts wise, we win because we're saving more lives through the use of IoT. And once again, let's go back to our framework of cost benefit analysis. Since the opponents don't bring up any other framework, we must weigh off of cost benefit analysis, meaning that we have to vote off of how many lives are being saved here. Clearly, we're saving more lives because first of all, we have the 250,000 lives that are being saved through the healthcare plus the pandemics that are being stopped. And then through environmental preservation, we're stopping extinction. We're saving so many lives here. And then let's go into the role of the judge, the role of the judge is an anti-oppressive educator. First of all, our opponents are the ones that are pressing oppression on us because they are simply saying something is happening, and that's just pressing oppression on us. They're saying that we're being oppressive, and that in itself is being oppressive because we're simply just trying to have an educational debate here. We're trying to have fun, and so, but even if you don't buy that, the burden of this debate is to prove or disprove the resolution, which is that the benefit of the Internet of Things outweigh the harms of decreased personal privacy. The negative has not met this burden in any way, meaning that you have to vote on the affirmative. Their burden has just been completely dropped. And so also, like, we're Asian, so you have to vote off that as well. But then let's move on to the affirmative case. So they completely dropped everything. They did not respond anything, and so everything flows through. Once again, we're weighing off cost benefit analysis here, and so we win here because $95 billion industry that's tied to IoT and healthcare. We went off of magnitude here on subpoint A of medical error. Well, we have 250,000 deaths that are being saved in the U.S. alone. These numbers are only going to increase in other nations. Subpoint B, pandemic detection. We're basically saving 50,000 lives a year in the U.S., 10 times more in the world outside of the U.S. through pandemic detection that's used by IoT. And then finally, on environment, we're stopping extinction. That's an existential impact in this round. They have no tangible impacts whatsoever. They're simply saying oppression exists. It's always going to exist. They're not doing anything to actually solve. So we outweigh on magnitude and scope and simply the role of the debate itself. And so we urge you for an affirmative ballot.
Alrighty.
All right. Order is my case. Everyone ready?
No.
All right. Time starts now. Let's get one thing straight here, Judge. You casting your ballot does not save any lives at all. You casting the ballot does not instate any other impacts of IoT. The only thing that this debate can actually have is the education that we gain inside of it. They try to tell you that they generate education by telling you about IoT, but you as the judges have already sat through 7 debates about IoT. You're learning nothing new from them saying this. The only new thing you've been introduced to education-wise was our case about how the debate space affects Asians and how it plays into that. You casting the ballot does not save lives. It does not improve medication. It does not improve anything. The only thing the ballot can do today is affirm our mode of education where we try to teach you things that actually affect the real world. Your ballot does not change IoT in any way. The only thing it can affect is our orients against Asian people in this round. Let's go down their responses. First, they try to tell you that they're Asian. They try to tell you that they're Asian too. That's not what we're trying to say here. We're trying to say that the knowledge they produce in round has implications on Asians, not that Asian identity as in itself is a reason to vote for us. We tell you that through their focus on modernization through the use of IoT, they actually reinforce this Orientalist mindset by reinforcing the fact that the Western idea that we must continue development. We're not saying that IoT in itself is development. We're saying that they have a mindset that we must continue to develop to be better than the other. The other is a big thing in this round because what we're saying is that Orientalism casts the Asian as the other, and their mindset on continuous development is what makes us think that way. Think about all the rounds you've listened to, Judge, not just this one. You have Sebastian Cho talking about how China is bad. You have other debates talking about how we need to develop a new technology to protect IoT. Every single debate you've had today has been oriented around who best orients development. What we need to look at is rather how we can improve the space we have right now, rather than trying to cast a ballot for a world that you can't actually change. Remember, Judge, the ballot doesn't actually change how IoT functions in the real world. The only real world implication your ballot has is how we are oriented to how we look at race, which is why I gave you the framework through our role of the judge. They say we didn't contest their framework. We did give a framework. We gave a role of the judge, which functions out of the framework of this round. We tell you that the judge should act as an anti-oppressive educator. What that means is the judge should vote for whoever best fights against oppression inside of the debate space. They try to give you a cost-benefit analysis, but what does a cost-benefit analysis do outside of them winning a round? Role of the judge of anti-oppressive educator teaches us as debaters to fight against oppression and agree with epistemologies that actually counter real-world oppression. By you giving us the ballot, you change everyone's subjectivity in this round and show that racialization is not okay. We tell you that through their development-focused mindset, they reinforce the ideology of the West. The ideology of the West is basically complicit with Jim Crow laws that in the education space that posit the Asian other and black people as other from the white people. They're trying to tell you that we must conform to white modes of debate, when in reality that makes it unfair for us debaters. They try to tell you that it makes it unfair for them because they haven't prepared for this, but we told you that fairness in this round never existed in the first place. That was a claim we made in our first speech in Lee 16, where we tell you that fairness never existed in the first place because we were forced to conform to white modes of debate. Us even saying that we go against the normative forms of debate made this round unfair for us. Fairness can't be voted on as a thing. Next, education. We tell you that all their epistemologies are flawed. They focus on development-oriented development, when in reality we should look at what we have right now and what the ballot can actually do for us in the real world. Remember, you casting the ballot for IoT changes IoT in no way. You casting the ballot for us changes how we look at race in the real world. It's the only real-world impact, and you're going to look at real-world impacts over cost-benefit analysis because they are the only ones that have tangible material change. And they link to the case because they are development oriented. That is big. And then what we're saying is also them casting us as the other outside debate, and that our ideas should be pushed out of debate, which they do by trying to instate a new framework. They push us out of debate. Means that the round was not fair for us because they're positing us as if we were some foreign other that shouldn't be included in the debate space. What this does is it pushes us away and shows us our ideas, which we're trying to advocate for equality as otherizing, and they're basically trying to push out equality in the debate space. You vote for us on fairness education and vote on that before any other impacts in the round. And I'm open for cross.
All right, can I have the first question?
Go for it.
So let's talk about the framework here. So you're saying that by us having our own framework of cost-benefit analysis, we're pushing you out of the debate. But since you're having the role of the judge as your framework, are you not pushing us out of the debate with your own oppressive tactics?
In no way, because I tell you in my role of the ballot that the role is to be an anti-oppressive educator. That means in your next speech,
the judge or the role of the ballot?
The role of the judge, it indicates the role of the ballot. That's a prerequisite. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that the role of the judge is to be an anti-oppressive educator. In your next speech, you could have followed along with this and talked about different methods for how we can make the debate space more inclusive. Instead, you brought up your cost-benefit analysis and tried to push us out of the debate space. We gave you a chance in which you could have talked about new methods to solve equality, but instead you chose to try to push us out of the debate space.
this framework of the role of the judge is a framework, are you not pushing us out of the debate by
No.
pushing out our framework of cost benefit analysis?
No, what we're saying is that cost benefit analysis isn't beneficial to us. Even if the judge was to vote for
Out
you,
of the debate.
not what?
By saying that our framework isn't good.
No, I'm telling you that you could engage in our framework. I can't engage in your framework meaningfully because I say that your framework was made for Western-oriented mindsets. Even if I tried to, it'd be posited against me because of the ways in which I was brought up, that I was not thinking in the same way as the white colonial mindset.
Real world impacts are.
So my real world impacts are: one, education. I educate the space and by showing you how to better learn about equality in the debate space. Two, fairness. The round was never fair to begin with. The only way that we could restore fairness is by making an even playing field, which is I tell you through is Asianized rhetoric. And as you said in your own speech, you guys are Asian too, which means that actually engaging in an Asian debate space makes it more fair for all of us.
Are we
May I
not
have the
learning
next
about
question?
IoT for this debate? Okay, yeah. You can
Oh,
answer.
actually, I'll answer that first really quick. No, we're not learning anything new about IoT. We've had 7 rounds in the past 2 days. We have all learned about IoT. You're saying the same case
As
over and
debaters, are we not learning new information about IoT that we did not know in previous rounds?
No, because we've already had this debate. Round 3, it was us against you, and we were the exact same sides. We already had this debate. Why are we having it again? No new education is based off that. I also tell you that the education you're producing is flawed. It's on a development-oriented mindset by using Western materials. We tell you that that Western-oriented mindset is not actually true, but rather posits the white as superior. Now, I'm going to ask the next question. How do you, in your case, actually oppose Orientalism?
Don't necessarily even tie into the model minority mindset because one, we're not even having China as any of our real world impact.
I didn't
We
ask you
don't
how you
look
tied in.
at
I
that
said, how
as
do you counter it?
one, we're giving both countries the opportunity to develop IoT because
In
China
real
already
life?
has developed IoT.
I'm asking in the real world, like materially. Like after we finish this debate round, how do you actually benefit Asians in any way?
We are Asian in itself, and so by learning more about IoT ourselves, we're able to push this kind of education on ourselves. We're learning more about IoT through this debate.
So you're
we're
saying that we should
benefiting
all become tech developers because of this debate?
from one mode of education, and that's time.
Okay.
Guys, this is so convoluted. What is going on right now? First of all, okay, can somebody answer this? What is the response to the K? I can't really tell what we're responding with. Because one of you is talking about Orientalism and impacts on Asians, and the other one's talking about cost benefit analysis and IoT. So I don't think we're on the same page here. Unless I'm tripping. Judges, you want to weigh in?
Line by line.
Do you want me to respond to that now, or?
Either of you two. Mike, do you want to
Okay.
weigh in?
So basically, what we're saying. Oh, sorry.
No, you can say what you need to say first.
Okay, so how we're responding, first of all, is we don't link into the K because one, we're not pushing like this model minority mindset, so we don't actually link into their K, which is our first response. And then we're talking about like, hold on, let me look at my flow, sorry. Okay, yeah, and they talk about how debate is like we're pushing them out of the space by introducing our cost benefit analysis framework. We're saying we don't push them out of the space. We're basically just countering everything they say that we don't link into the K. And then also it's like they're not fitting into the burden of this actual debate is which to debate the resolution. And so that's like our main point there. And then also the role of the judge, first of all, we need to prefer our framework over the actual role of the judge because they don't have their own framework. And then role of the judge was oppression, right? So we were saying like, yeah, we fit into that role of the judge as well. And so yeah, they don't really have any unique arguments there.
So con side, are you guys arguing the resolution? Or I think we've kind of gone into Orientalism a little too hard.
So actually, yes, we are arguing the resolution because what we're saying is that you should reject the resolution because of its development-oriented mindset. We're saying the resolution itself is pushing for education that is development-oriented and posited in white spaces.
Okay, but how does that show privacy concerns outweigh any benefits of IoT?
We don't need to. We're saying the resolution was never fair to begin with. Therefore, why should we argue the resolution?
Okay. Judges, do we want to say something? Do we want to weigh in right now? Or should we just let this finish?
We should let it finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike. Going forward for
I think-
everyone, I would suggest a little more on-topic discussion. Just a little, a smidge. I think all of our notes, all of our ballot sheets have just disintegrated at the seams. So if you would be so kind as to help us out and talk a little bit more about the topic, that would be nice. But you know what? Go ahead. please finish. With that being said, I think pro side you're up, right?
Running prep starting now.
Go ahead. I'll get the stopwatch going.
All right, so my order will be. Can you pull up our case? Sorry, I'll do this. It's pausing. All right, sorry about that. So my order will be first going over the neg, and then I'll be going to the pro. All right, if everyone's ready. Okay, time starts on my first word. All right, starting off with certain claims. So they tell you that the ballot has no value. However, you assume fiat in today's round. In other words, when the ballot is signed, that means the resolution is passed. So when all the things that we're saying is going to happen means it will happen because we're passing the resolution. Second, they try to tell you that we are not learning anything from the debate. However, we are learning a lot of new information. From one, searching up information during the rounds, and second, searching up ways that we can help defend our own case better, meaning that we are continuing to grow and learn. Now, next onto their case. First off, with the link. Okay, we do not link in here because China, they talk about these Western ideals, but China also uses IoT, meaning the fact that like you can't link in there. Second, on fairness. They tell you that we're pushing everyone out. But however, we all had an equal chance to prepare, meaning that this is not the case. Second, on minorities, they try to tell, or sorry, interrupt control. They try to tell you that they're pushing education. However, they actually like detriment us because we weren't able to use the things that we had prepared in order to debate. Next, they tell us for extrajudicial practices, we can see that our case does not directly look into this. And finally, on the role of the judge, we can see the fact that they are just pushing us out of debate, but also that we link into this because we're able to ensure by debating the resolution that we're having the most amount of education possible. And okay, and now you're going to weigh off the framework of cost benefit analysis because that's what we should weigh off the round in today because that's the framework. Now onto our own case. First off, you extend cleanly on contention 1 of healthcare because they don't give you a single rebuttal here. What this means is that we're able to reduce medical error, thus saving 250,000 lives at the same time. Additionally, we're able to say even more benefits through the subpoint B of pandemic detection and treatment because we can see that IoT has been instrumental in this means. As the World 23 states, we're able to save approximately 50,000 lives a year and likely 10 times more from the use of IoT because IoT's had initiatives such as COVID, which have been instrumental in terms of finding out certain areas of infected persons and able to pinpoint these exact areas. Next on contention 2 of environment. Again, clean extension, not a single response. And on this, we can extend Yamini 22 because we can see that IoT has many innovations that can help easily track energy consumption, lighting, and other renewable energy sources. The impact here is stopping extinction, the most important impact in today's round, because this weighs off of scope, magnitude, because we're able to see that how many people are affected by extinction. Thus, by voting for the affirmation, we're able to curve this number and essentially stop it as well. Now back onto weighing, they present you with no actual tangible impacts, whereas we've provided you with several. So when it comes to the card of first reducing medical error, we're able to see a loss of 250,000 deaths per year. But additionally, through medical tracking, we're able to save around 50,000 lives a year as well. So with all the lives saved and an existential impact, your ballot should be for the affirmation. Thanks.
All right, we're gonna take prep starting now. We used 220. All right, is everyone good? Yeah. And I'll start time on my first word. All right, judges, I'm going to make this round simpler than first grade level math. So the first thing we're going to keep in mind, that you have to keep in mind as the judge, that we're valuing tech over truth, not preconceived notions you may have. What matters is what's written down on your flow, not the things you automatically have in your mind. What's on the flow is more important in today's round. So now we're going to go top down on the case. So first thing first, they say China uses IoT. It's kind of racist to assume that China represents all Asians. That's just, it's kind of ridiculous off the bat. Then they pretty much drop the fact that they link to our case because they have this techno-oriented mindset, which in turn means that we're going to have people like the US trying to succeed over the Asian. That in turn racializes them and forces them into the model minority. Then they drop the fact that there was no fairness in today's round and that our team did not have access to fairness in the first place. That is also incredibly important. Then, on the role of judge, they also essentially drop the role of judge. And once again, they do not actually explain how they're actually preventing oppression inside the debate space. Remember, we're talking about real world things now, which on to the next point of education. They would not have learned anything else in today's round if we had the exact same day. They would have said things maybe a little bit differently, but they wouldn't actually create new education. We would just talk about the exact same things over and over again. That doesn't help anything. And once again, they have this development-oriented mindset. That in turn links to RK because that means that the US is trying to become more than the Asian and put them off as scary, which is not good. Also, once again, they completely drop the fact that we have to reject their evidence because of the epistemological practices behind their evidence. That's another major thing in today's round. Then, they say they extend their framework. Once again, their framework has no real-world impact. It does not matter if, in their hypothetical world, they're going to be solving for a couple of issues they bring up. What matters is how we react to Orientalism and how that we reject it in today's round to create a more fair debate space for Asians. Then, they also concede the fact that voting for them concedes that we're advocating for white spaces in debate and concedes anti-blackness. That is a bad thing. Then, they say that we're pushing them out of debate. We're not pushing. They had plenty of time to engage in our framework because they're Asian. We could not have engaged in their own framework because of the white-oriented aspect of it. They could have done this. They did not. Then once again, they say assume fiat. Once again, there is no real world implications if we believe their case. That doesn't matter. That should not influence your ballot, whether or not they potentially fiat in stopping a pandemic. And we shouldn't have to debate the resolution if it's made as an unfair resolution towards Asians. We should completely reject it. That's what we're doing in today's round. And finally, they say that they all had equal chance to compare. Once again, they concede fairness in their last speech. So no matter what, prep or not, it is going to be an unfair round. We were based on fair at the start. So the things to keep in mind for your ballot is that we're valuing tech over truth. Your preconceived notions do not matter compared to what is on the ballot. As well, our opponents do not fit under our role of judge, and they did not adequately rebut it, meaning that you, as a judge, must be an anti-oppressive educator and reject Orientalism and vote for the negation.
Sure. Are you guys ready for grand class?
Yes.
All right, time will start on my first word. Okay, so about fiat, why would you say that none of our impacts are actually going to happen in the real world?
Okay, so like if the judge casts their ballot for you, right? They're gonna type out your name, they say you won. Okay. IoT in the real world, because he casted your ballot, doesn't change at all. Like nothing his ballot does will actually change the real world if he votes for you.
We're looking at actual fiat, which is in the debate handbook. So we're
Okay, and I
assuming
already
that
told you that we're no, it's not in the debate handbook. First of all, fiat is nowhere mentioned in the debate rules. If you look at them, fiat is a thing made by the community. Secondly, even if he votes for you, think about it. Fiat, IoT doesn't suddenly change into the world you said it would just because he votes for you. The only thing that happens if he votes for you is that he won the round. IoT itself won't change just because he cast his ballot. If the ballot is cast for us,
are we not getting benefits of education by winning this round? Because we're
I told you no for 3 reasons. 1, we had this round 3 times. This exact round we actually had in round 3 were the exact same sides.
In between rounds, we're learning more in between rounds, so we're gaining more impacts.
But you didn't change your case at all between rounds. You've been running the same things all day. 2, even if you did more research in round, we said the education that you do provide was flawed because it was development mindseted.
It's different, is it not?
Yeah.
I told you even if you do provide new education, that the education is bad because it's development oriented, which we told you pods us into white spaces of thinking. Pardon? Yes,
have a
I do have a question. I do have a question. So how does your cost benefit analysis actually change real world things? Like not like debate real world. No, I mean like after this round.
Okay, so first of all, the burden of us as debaters is to answer the resolution.
Did
which
you
is
say
to
that in
see
your first
whether-
speech?
Did.
She did, yeah.
You did?
In
In
the
your
rebuttal,
first
it's
speech.
the
No,
burden.
in your first
It's the
speech.
Rebuttal.
Okay, so what advantages
us
does
as
what
debaters.
advantages does that burden provide to the debate space?
As a debater, we're supposed to answer the resolution itself.
No, but
and
I'm
not
saying
look
why
at
should we do
outside-
that? So not just based on preconceived notions, but
First,
why
education.
should we do that?
Second, fairness, because it's fair that we have the time to prepare for this stuff. And if you're running something like if you're running a K on us, we don't have the same time to prepare for this. So we're not actually
So-
getting any education from this debate at all because we're not
So,
learning anything.
In our first speech, we said fairness could never exist for any of us in this space because it was made to posit white education. So if fairness never existed, then why is fairness being weighed as a part of your burden?
White education because it's helping education in general for all of us. Because first of all, it's not white education if we're researching about IoT. What makes you think that's white?
But where do all these research journals and stuff come from? They come from white universities that it advocates for the Western ways of thinking.
Okay, that doesn't necessarily make it white. If Asian countries are also using IoT and developing it, that does not make every single research article related to IoT white.
Would you not agree, though, that the Western world has largely influenced how the East thinks and how they are educated and how they act?
Well, if Asia has developed IoT before the rest of the West, it means that they were the ones influencing, and that's about cross.
Okay.
No, I don't. Okay, we don't need any prep time, but time will start on my first word. But off-time roadmap, I'm just gonna be going down the negative case and then going back to the affirmative, weighing key voters. Right. And time will start my first word. Okay, first of all, on the tech versus truth debate, we are looking at tech versus truth. We are looking exactly what is on the flow because we have addressed everything that they've brought up in every single speech consecutively. We've addressed every single point here. They have not addressed any of our contentions, meaning they actually lose on the flow here. All two of our contentions, including subpoint A and subpoint B, flow through because they have not addressed it. Okay, so look on the flow. We've completely won on there. And then let's move on. They said that we dropped fairness. Once again, we did not drop fairness because it's unfair for us who have prepared for an IoT debate round to be debating something that's not IoT, especially since we haven't done the research in this actual area. And then next on the, they said that we dropped the ROJ, but we actually did not. We simply said that we fit into this ROJ. The role of the judge is to, eliminate oppression. And the thing is, by voting for the affirmative, you are eliminating oppression because once again, you're voting for something that's saving more lives. This is no way in oppression. And then on education, we're actually getting more benefits of education by preparing in between rounds, by thinking of what to say during rebuttal. We're actually getting more education in this way, but rather the negative is not actually getting any access to education because they're simply just saying something that they've written out previously. Because I know for a fact that he's written this out before. And then moving on to U.S. trying to become more developed than Asian countries, this is not true because all countries are trying to be more developed at the same time. This is in no way any actual tangible thing that they can bring up because Asian countries are also developing IoT at the same time. And then they said that we could have listened to their framework, but we didn't. First of all, their framework is pushing us out of the debate space because we're simply bringing up a framework that we've prepared for, which is cost-benefit analysis and has actual tangible impacts. Now let's move on to our case. So first of all, we win completely on the flow. Tech over truth, yeah, you vote for us. The role of the judge is to vote for the person that actually answers the burden of the debate, which is to debate on the resolution itself. This has gone completely conceded. Now we have actual tangible benefits here. First of all, contention 1, we have 250,000 lives that are being saved in the U.S. alone, plus more outside. Pandemic detection, we're saving 50,000 lives a year in the U.S., plus 10 times more in other areas. Contention 2, we're saving all people on Earth because of extinction. We're reducing 50% of carbon emissions by 2030. And so we completely win off tangible impacts and education and fairness and magnitude. And so I urge you for an affirmative ballot.
Con,
Alrighty,
you've got
cool.
prep time. Do you want to use it or do you want to just go straight into it?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Very cool. Time starts now. The first place we're starting our discussion here was with the framework, because that is how you're going to weigh the round, and whoever wins the framework basically won the debate. So starting off, there are two standards in which the framework gets weighed. One is fairness, the other is education. First, let's look at fairness. In the first speech, look at your flow. We said, and look at the speech drop if you want, fairness never existed in the first place. That's on the speech drop, you can see that. They never rebutted that claim, they just try to say ways in which they provide fairness, but I told you fairness didn't exist in the first place. So how can that be weighed? Fairness couldn't have existed in the first place because we were debating in a space that wasn't made for us. It was made for white ways of thinking and Western modes of thought. That means that fairness never existed in the first place, and it couldn't be a place you weighed. And even then, we posited the framework of being the role of the judge being an anti-oppressive educator, which tells you that in the space you should vote for whoever best counters oppression. We counter oppression by educating the people in the round on how they can better make the space fair for Asians. What do they try to do? They tell you that through saving more lives, they are more anti-oppressive. But we told you already, and this was cold conceded, that the casting the ballot for them does not make, in the real world, IoT change. In the real world, no one dies or lives because you gave them the ballot. In the debate, the only thing that happens is that they affirm their ideals of thinking. But if you vote for us, we reorient how we think about people. Secondly, was education. They said they provide more education because they teach us about IoT, but IoT we already learned about 6 times a day and throughout different rounds. What if we not? And IoT has been talked about multiple times. They read the same case over and over. They don't learn anything new. Secondly, looking at education. We told you that their education is bad. That was never rebutted throughout any speech. Their education that they give us is bad because it's development oriented and teaches us in white ways of thinking. It tells you that we just develop technology to get ahead of someone else. They say that unless we develop technology, we're not going to do that. And finally, remember, Judge, when weighing education and fairness on who won the framework in this round, you must look at tech over truth and not your preconceived notions of debate. Thus we negate.
Okay, that's the round.
Round.
So out
Good
of
round.
sheer curiosity, before we get into anything, any
round.
disclosures, do you think you won the K round?
I think exclusively on the flow. Like if it was just a flow alone. Yes.
That's not my question.
What do you mean?
Do you think you won? That's my question.
Won you? Like
No,
like in this round specifically.
no. In this round specifically, did you win the argument?
Yes, I did win the argument.
I don't think your opponents are agreeing.
Well, yeah, that's kind of how it works, I think.
Yeah.
It's debate,
Yeah.
you know.
But why? What makes you think that?
Because it's explicitly on the flow, our claim that fairness never existed in the first place was never rebutted. They simply try to say the ways that they give fairness. Secondly, our claim that education was flawed. We told you the epistemologies behind the education they produced was flawed, meaning they couldn't have produced education even if they tried.
Okay, thank you. Khan, do you have anything to say regarding the same question?
Yes, so we did win on the flow, one on like the stock issues of this actual debate, because the burden of us as debaters is to answer the resolution. That's number one, completely cold conceded by the neg. And then also for looking at like the actual framework of the debate, they've not said anything other than the fact that it's pushing them out of the debate. And we said like 5 times of this whole debate that by them having their own ROJ, they're pushing us out of the debate and saying that cost benefit analysis doesn't work. So that same logic applies to us. That was like not responded to at all. And then like on the actual K itself, we also won because one, they kept saying that we dropped fairness in education, but we brought that up in every single speech. And like in fairness wise, they're saying it never existed, and we addressed that like multiple times. That first of all, we both had like equal opportunity to prepare for this exact debate, and they're simply just pushing something on us that means that they're the ones being actually unfair. And then on education, we've also said multiple times that we're learning things in between rounds, and we're also learning things in round as we research how to rebut, because we're not like, we don't have pre-written blocks because we kind of procrastinated just a little bit, but like we're also doing the research in between rounds, and so we're actually being benefited by education wise, but they're not actually helping us in education by running this, because they're making it so that we aren't researching things outside of this. We're using our pre-written stuff. And also on tech over truth, we win there because we won on flow. They have like conceded everything.
Okay, thank you for that. I think, judges, we have a lot of notes for sure. Mike, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think we have a lot of notes. So before we get into it,
Yeah.
I just want to say that this is a public forum debate, not a policy debate. So with that being said, the way we award points may not be consistent with what either of you guys felt you deserve to earn as far as this debate goes. We will show you the rubric when we do disclose, but until then, just sit tight. Mike, do you want to start notes?
Yeah, let's go to the like judge the decision room.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll get you guys feedback after we discuss.
Should we just
Yeah.
stay here or go to the waiting room?
Either's fine.
I'll take it from here. Thank you. I'll go to the waiting room so that we
Okay.
can make the judge decision and then come back with the feedback. So
Cool.
everyone will be together and everyone can listen in.
Good job.
Yo, yeah, oh my god. Yo, how do I exit out of this, bro? I need to get out of this, bro.
Oh,
How do
hello,
I exit? How
Jason.
do I exit? How do I exit? Okay, there we go. Sorry.
I'm joining the activity. I mean, the Garchik thing is fixed, right? It's not still there.
It's not still there.
Huh?
It's not still there.
Okay, good, good, good. I accidentally started it. I think I clicked it twice by accident. It was
Okay.
my phone's actually a liability. Yeah.
You want to go? You want to go do some recruiting for debate lead with me? Wow. You just absconded me.